thank you very much for coming tonight. I feel very honored and very special that you took the time out to come. I would like especially to thank the representation of our Indonesian consulate here, which is Vice Consul Bernard F. Luesi. Do I pronounce it right? Lucy or Luesi, and he is the Consul of Cultural Affairs. So that's why he is here. We are a cultural affair. All right, and so I'm very happy because we have very special people here. The designer of the book covers just walked in, so you know, it's all very special, right? So just so you know, probably about Dalang Publishing, we are a very small independent publisher, but we have a specialty. And our specialty is translations into the English language from Indonesia, historical novels. And that's all we do. And we have been in existence since 2011. And so today, in 2015, I have 8 titles under my belt. And you can see the 8 titles because Greg from this wonderful bookstore is so generous, and he put a full table of display just for our books. And I want to thank Greg very, very much. He just quickly ran in the back there for giving us this wonderful space and for making this possible. Thank you so much, Greg, because this is a very warm, welcoming, very special store as well. Thank you so much.
Where people a group rose against each other, and a tribe were fighting against another tribe, one belief to another belief. The economy was so devastated until so many. I remember at the time I was still in college, and then I think Indonesia was having a very dark moment at that time. That's when they wrote the books. But now I can tell you, we are so happy that Indonesia, for the first time in our history, we have a leader that has had no connection whatsoever with the past regimes. He has no connection with the military, he had no connection with the powerful elites, political parties, and then he had been elected, he had been inaugurated last November. So I would like to agree with what Time magazine mentioned about this new president, a new hope. This is a new hope that we are having. So Indonesia is different. I've never seen a leader in Indonesia, a president, Pak Jokowi, that has focused his attention so much like this one. Okay, before they were trying to develop here, but this one is the most focused president. You can imagine there is no ministers, no secretaries in Indonesia that are entitled to have their own missions and visions. Only the president has the visions and missions. And what is it? There are 9. Don't ask me to mention the 9, but I remember one of the missions and visions that our president, our leader would like to emphasize is to build the infrastructure of the border areas, including Papua. He is so determined to construct the road, the railways, the toll roads, the train tracks in Papua, in all other islands besides in Java Island. The Java Island is attractive by default, but the other ones, they need attention. So Papua, on the other hand, I remember the writer mentioned about particular company, mining company, the most established copper and gold producer in the world. That had happened during the previous regime, and then I am happy to tell everybody that this company and our government has been close, very closely. We have agreed to change the terms what they should be doing in Papua. And then I can tell you that the terms, sometimes it took hard negotiation, but at the end it resulted with a win-win solution. And again, I would like to thank you everybody, thank all. You've been traveling so far just to come here with us. I would like to congratulate everybody. I hope you will have a very smooth and tour. Terima kasih.
Thank you very much, Papa, for that. Before I start, I'd like to tell you kind of how we are going to do this. So it has been my experience that sad enough, a lot of people don't even know where Indonesia is. You know, when you ask them, where are we? And then they send you to Indochina or the Philippines or anywhere but Indonesia. And so what I am doing usually when I start a program, and I give you a little bit of a rundown of Indonesia. Unfortunately, because we have something that is very important, we have 2 books here to discuss, and we have a conversation that we can have with translators and authors. So I'm not going to give you a geography or a history lesson on a country that then you can just look it up in Google, right? But just for reference, so you know where we are basically, and then that you're kind of grounded in place as we start talking story. Here is Indonesia. We are the largest archipelago in the world. We have 17,000 islands. We are not just this little teeny bitsy island called Bali. That's not Indonesia. Indonesia comes from Sabang. Oops. You have to excuse my technical abilities here. Okay, we are not that great. From Sabang all the way to Merauke. And here we have the equator. And all these islands that wrap around the equator. That is Indonesia. And we have, geographically where we are situated, so in the north we have Malaysia and the Philippines, in the south we have Australia, we have the Indian Ocean and the Pacific Ocean, and everything in between, that's us. Okay, so we have 5 main islands, because it's impossible to have 17,000 on a list, right, and walk around with it. So we have Sumatra, Kalimantan, Java, which is the main island because we have Jakarta and our government there. Then we have Sulawesi. Now start paying attention because this is where the books are set in. Here we have Sulawesi and we have Papua. Alright? So this here shows you where the islands are that we are going to discuss. Here is Papua. And here are the K Islands. You see there's 2 islands. One is K Besar and one is K Kecil. And now I think that the next, okay, so and here then are the books that we are discussing. Later when we start talking about K, you will have a bigger picture of the 2 islands. So, and with that, I'm going to introduce my 2 teams here. The team of K with Ani Alajai, sorry, Ani Alajai and Hayat, and they are responsible to bring K to you. Annie is the author and Hayat is the translator. Then we have the Set for Daughters of Papua, and we have Anindita Tayev, who is the author, and we have Stephanie Irawan, who is the translator. Yes, sorry. So with that, let's just right away jump into them, the daughters of Papua. Okay. Annie, please tell us a little bit about yourself and what your interests are and so on and so forth.
First, I like to thank Bob Greg and Lian for this opportunity and for spotlighting my novel, Daughters of Papua. As a child, I always loved to read, so of course I grew up wanting to write. I began to write short stories when I was in junior high school, and later I became a freelance writer at an online media publication. I've also written for a national tabloid before I had a job with a local magazine. But now I am a full-time writer who loves to patrol the garden and also loves to cook.
And then, Stephanie, can you please tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I was born and raised in a small town in East Java. And then I went to college in Surabaya, a city nearby. I've always loved language, reading and writing, so I majored in English literature. And I started to write more seriously during my final years of college. In 2006, I had a collection of short stories published by a major Indonesian publisher. And then along the way, with my background and my writing skills, I ventured into the translation world, and I translated some books from English to the Indonesian language. And I also picked up theater when I was in college, and I got hooked in theater productions. So I received my master's degree in arts management from the State University of New York at Buffalo under the prestigious Fulbright program. And right now, my daytime job is with the Petra Christian University in Surabaya, where I teach introduction to creative writing, playwriting, and stage production. And I'm also the managing director of their college theater, which is Petra Little Theater.
So, thank you. So, Annie, what inspired you to become a writer?
Well, the Japanese folklore my mother told me at that time when I was a child, and the fairy tale and fairy books my father read to me at an early age introduced me to the world that I would have never known. The stories made me fall in love with words and then challenged me to write my own story.
Great. That's really, really great. So, Steph, what inspired you to be a translator?
Okay. Well, it's basically reading translated works, both good and bad. Yes. Good translation reminds me every time of the marvelous languages in the world. Good translation is powerful. It breaks down language barrier, and it makes it enables people to not just read but enjoy great works in their own language. Bad translation is actually the other way around. But it also reminds me of the importance of this job, my job as a translator, and it encourages me to do it well.
That is it. So, Anne, what inspired you to become a writer? Okay, I did that. Sorry. Steph, what are your objectives to be as a translator? I
think being a translator, I like to see myself as someone who built this bridge between Indonesia and the Indonesian language and people who can, read and speak the English language. So I'm building that bridge with, my work. So I'm hoping they would get to know Indonesia better and, of course, its literature better.
Great, thank you very much. So now we know one set of people. People who are in the back there are chairs up front here if you want to come up and sit. Huh? Please, if you want to. Okay, and then, yes, what's happening there? Bu Yul. Sini, mari. Kasih banyak dulu. Ada bisa unusual, yes. Excuse me, 1 minute, please. All right, sorry. Okay, so now we will go into my next step, which is the author and translator of K. Can you see them? Because I don't want to be in their way. All right, Annie, can you please tell us a little bit about yourself?
I speak Indonesian language and translate.
Yes.
Saya lahir.
Louder.
Okay. Saya lahir dan besar di sebuah pulau kecil di Sulawesi. Saya berasal dari keluarga petani rempah, cengkeh dan pala. Selain menulis, yang saya lakukan adalah mengajar anak-anak di pesisir menulis kreatif dan mengelola sebuah perpustakaan, itu namanya perahu pustaka. Kami berlayar ke pulau-pulau kecil, berlabuh untuk menjuguhkan bacaan kepada anak-anak pulau.
Ernie, can you guys hear me if I talk like
Yes.
this? Okay. Ernie is literally from the Spice Islands. Did I use it? Okay, sorry. Ernie is literally from the Spice Islands of Indonesia. It's in Sulawesi near the Malukus. She comes from a family of spice farmers. They grow cloves and nutmeg. And she grew up always wanting to write something, creative writing, and that's what she does. And what was that? Oh, she also mentioned that she volunteers for this charitable program called Perahu Pustaka, which translates into library ship. What they do is that they've got a wooden boat. They fill it with books and they go island hopping. And each time they land at a different island, the kids come out to the beach and the kids board the ship and they read the books. And the ship lays over for 2-3 days and then moves on to the next island. And they do this because obviously access to schools and education is very minimal in that part of the country. So that's what she does.
So, Haya, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Oh yeah. Hi. Thanks for coming out. My name's Hayat. I was born and raised in Dar es Salaam in Tanzania. That's a country in East Africa, nowhere near Indonesia. I went to college in Durban in South Africa, which is also nowhere near Indonesia. And I only came to Indonesia when I was 25. And in college, I studied engineering, and that's what I did for the first few years that I was in Jakarta. And I got into translating completely by chance, because after my engineering gig, I joined a newspaper English language newspaper called Jakarta Post. And from then I moved on to another English language newspaper called the Jakarta Globe, and that's when I started doing translating in earnest, because that's when we had reporters and stringers and whatnot finding the stories in Indonesia, and my job would be to translate, and that's how I got into it.
All right, so Ernie, we have heard the other interests that you have. So now I am going to ask you, what inspired you to become a writer?
Yang menginspirasi saya menjadi seorang penulis adalah nenek saya. Ketika kecil dari umur 6 tahun sampai 17 tahun, saya tidur dengan nenek saya dan dia selalu menceritakan saya tentang dongeng-dongeng rakyat. Saya pikir ilham saya menulis menjadi penulis berasal darinya.
When Ernie was a little girl, from the age of 6 until 17, she would sleep with her grandmother, and her grandmother would tell her folk tales, folk stories, that sort of thing. And it was those stories, she says, that inspired her to write.
Thank you. And your turn, Hayat? What inspired you to become a translator?
Well, like I already told you, translating is my day job. But that was obviously translating the news. So what got me to translating fiction, historical fiction at least. It was, again, quite by chance. A colleague of mine, his wife is a award-winning novelist, and she wanted one of her books translated into English, and that's how I got into it. Obviously, I have a tremendous interest in it, apart from it being an occupation. I think it's important that stories need to be told. There are an awful lot of stories about Indonesia that the world doesn't know. In fact, that many Indonesians don't know. And I think it's to serve as a conduit to the wider world, bringing these stories to the wider world. I think that's an important role.
Thank you very much. So now that we have met both books, we have met the people from K and we have met the people from Daughters of Papua. Now let's dive into the work itself. Let's hear about the work itself for a little bit. We're going to start with the Daughters of Papua. Can you hear me in the back? Thank you very much, because I hate those things. Me and gadgets and technology just don't get along. I am sorry for that. So, as the title indicates, are you going to do the slides, or am I going to muddle through? Thank you. Thank you very much. Anin's story is set in Papua. And Anin, what inspired you to write about the Daughters of Papua? But before you answer us, when Steph gets around getting the pictures up, we probably would like to see what life is in Papua, what the landscape is like in Papua. And they are working very hard on getting those things on the screen, and I am talking very slow to give them the time to just accomplish that. Well, there you are. So you will see some slides here and listen to some Papua music, and the slides will show you Papua in the village sometime back as well as today. Obviously, this is today. Open markets there still. And this is the hole that was not only dug into our ground, but also as well in our hearts. Just for your information, they used to walk around with a peanuts cover, which is called the koteca, and it is a gourd that they dry. And they don't walk around like that anymore. This is just to give you an idea of the way it was.
So they don't wear any cover?
No, they were close, just
Close.
like we do. You know,
They don't do that.
we have we've come far from those dark ages. So now Anne is going to tell us what inspired you to write The Daughters of Papua.
Well, two articles about Papua in a local newspaper caught my attention. One article described Papua as one of the beautiful places in Indonesia, and the other reported on the Papua nightmares caused by Freeport, an American gold mining company that has leased the land. The article sparked my awareness and tugged at my conscience, so I started to write about the plight of Papua.
Great. What are the social issues that you address in this novel?
Well, actually, there are some social issues such as capitalism, militarism, patriarchy, and nationalism.
So, you know, you mentioned a handful of issues there. Perhaps can you choose one of the issues and then give us an example from the book?
Okay, Daughters of Papua is a story about 3 generations of Papuan women who suffer the consequence of the government leasing Papua's land to a foreign gold mining company, Freeport. McMoran, the company ruined their life and their paradise. And Mabel is one of the main characters on this novel, Daughters of Papua. Mabel is a 65-year-old grandmother who was born into the Dani tribe in the interior of Papua. She was being adopted by the official Dutch missionary. As one of my main characters in Daughters of Papua, Mabel is a victim of colonialism in terms of what Frans Fanon said as a mimicry. Now I will read the part of Mabel. This is my favorite part. Near the end of the year, the stores glistened with decorations of small lights and glossy green, red, and golden fancy paper. Mrs. Hermon and Anne tirelessly went into each store. Mabel followed them around with her hands full of the things they bought. Mrs. Hermon cheerfully greeted everyone she met with a Merry Christmas, and they replied with the same sentiment. White and brown-skinned immigrants were more cheerful and friendlier during the time. They smiled and continued shopping even when a terrible thing happened in front of them. Mabel had stepped outside the shoe store with Mrs. Hermon and Anne when they noticed a crowd gathered under the tall pinang tree. A common woman sat high up in the tree and wanted to end her life out of shame. The man who had promised to marry her daughter decided to break his promise. His sister had married the woman's son earlier without a dowry, but the man had too much pride to do the same. Some white immigrants, including Mrs. Hermon, tried to talk the woman out of jumping. They said everyone should forget their troubles on a joyful Christmas day. Christmas is the time for sharing of love, shouted Mrs. Hermon, using her hand as a funnel to deliver her message to the woman. You shall talk about your problem with your family. The woman, blinded by shame, answered with a loud scream before jumping from the top of the tree. She fell straight to the ground in front of the butcher's shop. Her right body jerked for a moment before she died, with her head split open and her eyes bulging.
the curtain up. People left one by one to continue shopping. The woman's blood, red as the lights enveloping people in the store, seemed like another ornament for the joyful holiday season. Mabel then said to herself, "Did I see anyone in the crowd crying? No, right? Or they didn't care or think it was their business. Is it because she was black and they are white? Does it mean that the white God whose picture Mr. Doisel placed in the living room won't help me when I'm in trouble? I am black. He's white." Mabel couldn't feel the joy of Christmas that year. The holiday meant nothing more than the gift Mrs. Hamlin got her from the fabric store. A new green and red ribbon to wear in her ginger curly hair. "Merry Christmas, Annabelle." "Thank you, madam." No, you should say Merry Christmas too." "Merry Christmas too, madam. And to you too, Annabelle."